Hello, welcome to FundForum Asia. I'm Sarah Clark and we're coming to you from the JW Marriott Hotel in Hong Kong. Now joining me now is Bergh who's the CEO at MiCai. It's a leading financial technology company in China. It also launched the first robo-advisor of China. Bergh, thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
I want to talk to you about the Chinese client of the future and your experiences as being the first group to launch a robo-advisor. Firstly, who is the Chinese client of the future as far as you're concerned, or certainly who you've dealt with?
Client of the future is split into two parts. One is the high net worth individual, wealth management individual. The other side is the retail client. On the retail client side, client of the future is somebody who has a lot of pressure, primarily for demographic reasons, who has to, pay for two sets of parents, often grandparents, now 1 to 2 children, and so the financial pressure is very, very high. And for them, what is shifting is that rather than going for products with very high yield, because we live in a more low yield environment these days in China, their priority number one becomes not to lose any money, and that's where robo-advisory comes in, and with diversification, automatic management, etc., can help them to alleviate that pressure.
Okay, to get to that client, you mentioned the robo-advisor. Can you firstly just give me a description for those who don't know what a robo-advisor is? Give me that brief snapshot, but also looking at this technology, is this basically the way to meet a huge part of that market, being the younger generation who are technology savvy? And I suppose when I'm talking about the online generation, that's you, really.
Correct.
I mean, that's your age group.
Correct. Yeah, so robo-advisory in China is primarily for people, as young as 18 or even younger than that, all the way to, late 40s, etc. It's really tailored to that age group that's very busy, that doesn't have the time to manage their funds by themselves 100%, and that's looking for digital automated solutions. To define a robo-advisors, I would say there are 3 parts to a robo-advisory. In China, there are many firms that claim to be robo-advisories, but we define it mostly as the following 3 conditions. Number 1, there's an automated part to the actual advisory, i.e. based on some data, which could be from a questionnaire or other data, we advise the actual client into a particular set of portfolios. Secondly, the actual management of the portfolios is done automatically as well, and that's a very important part because people's situation changes, the market changes, people risk tolerance changes, and so therefore it's very important that this management part is done automatically as well to the extent that is possible. And thirdly, traditionally, especially the US model of robo-advisory and some in China, including us as well, is the revenue side is similar to the client, so it's percentage of AUM that is being charged rather than actual commission, etc. So it's not robo-selling, it's robo-advisory. Yeah.
Okay, well, you were the first to launch in the market in China, which I imagine that's a huge step.
Yeah.
How quickly did others catch up or certainly follow in your footsteps? And how, kind of 2 questions, how are you differentiating yourself from those who are catching up in that market to win over or beat the competitors, I should say?
Yeah, that's a very good question. For us, when we launched, because we spend about 1.5 to 2 years doing the actual coding, because the robo-advisor is very, very complex. It's not just the advisory part, it's the whole transaction part, and that technology, the linking with different APIs, with custodians, with brokers, clearing, etc. It took us about 1.5 years. When we launched, about half a year later, there are several other firms that claim to be a robo-advisor, but they don't have the technological stack behind it. So they focus primarily on the advisory side. I have 10 questionnaire, and then I put people into 5 different categories, and that's what they call robo-advisory. In our opinion, this is robo-selling, not robo-advisory. As to your second part of the question, I think what our clients tell us is how we're different from the other ones is primarily 2 points. Number 1 is we're the oldest one, so we have the most experience. We have the largest data set. We're the market leader in this field as well, of different banks and wealth management firms, etc., that we do the technology for. And so based on that, our system gets smarter. We have a lot of AI on the side as well. So we know better and more sophisticated how to serve the client as well as optimize the return for the client and be within the expectations of the client. I think the second part is most of the people that work for us come from the wealth management industry, so they're very familiar as well with the to-be clients that we work with, how exactly to integrate the robo-advisor in their current offering, and also how to execute that, because selling the solution is just the first part. The implementation often is the more difficult part.
Okay, one last question, because I know we're running out of time.
Sure.
How then what advice would you give the client then if you suggest that there are a number of operators who aren't delivering what they say they should be? Is there kind of some advice or wariness that the client should hold when it comes to investing it through the robo-advisor?
Yeah, for us, it's a very good question. We always tell the client, look at fees. Fees are the part of the investment that you can control from day one, and because it's relatively clear. Performance, what the market will do, no one knows. Fees, we see is primarily the key issue that clients should look into.
Okay, Greg, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, my pleasure.
That's all we've got time for, but you can follow more of these conversations, more of these interviews through Twitter. Just look for hashtag FF Asia, or look for the feed, which is @FundForum. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time.